Hello and welcome back to Speed Demon Painting. Today we are taking a look at the new releases coming in this month, November, from Warcradle Studios. Now, as always, you can pre-order these and then have them delivered to you at the end of the month, in this case, November 2022. Speaking of pre-orders, it's sometimes tricky when you're in mainland Europe to get your pre-orders at your doorstep on time, because ever since Brexit, of course, sometimes you have to wait a bit longer because things get stuck at customs and everything, and you have to wait a couple of weeks, and that's never fun. That's not the reason why you pre-ordered. So I get my pre-orders at ccgwinkel.nl. He's an official Warcradle distributor in Central Europe, and can pretty much get his hands on any of the new pre-orders that you see here. All you have to do is send him an email, because he doesn't necessarily have all of the listings from Dystopian Wars up to date all of the time. So if you've got your eye on something, send him an email and I'm pretty sure he can get it to you on time and when you expect it. Now, there were quite a lot of releases this month. There were 5 boxes released for Dystopian Wars. There's a new set of scenery coming out in MDF. And there's actually a new novel coming out for Wild West Exodus, and I'm particularly keen on reading this one, so I'm definitely going to be pre-ordering that one. Let's first start off with Dystopian Wars though, and as you can see, 5 boxes, that's the most we've had so far, and there's 2 very interesting ones that came out, which are sort of meant as expansions to your first 2-player starter sets that you might have purchased when you got into the game. The first box of these is called Beyond the Stergenium Skies, and it is of course the logical successor to the Stergenium Skies box. And what do you get in it? Well, there's 6 plastic sprues found in this one. You get 2 of those plastic sprues are the Hochmeisters that we know or have seen before at least. And then it looks like you get 2 support squadron sprues from the crown side. And then the new thing that is added to this set seems to be these platform sets that allow you to build the mobile bases, well, the static bases I should say, in the game, along with some wreck markers and some mine tokens, which see their first physical release. And you don't just get that, included in it as well are some extra dice, because that was a bit of a point of criticism before in the set. If you had to split the number of dice amongst 2 players, you often didn't have enough for every player to do the full volleys that you can sometimes do in this game. And on top of that, you get the new updated rulebook, so both players can actually have a physical copy of the rulebook, as the original box only had one included. And it looks like they're also continuing the campaign that was found in that Stergenium Sky set with a new campaign booklet as well. So if people were really into playing the narrative campaign and bought it more as a standalone box, which is perfectly fine, you can do that with this box, then then you can continue that one with this Beyond set. If I'm not mistaken, it had an MSRP of around 55 to 60 pounds, which I think is great value given how many plastic sprues you actually get, the dice and the rulebook and all of that stuff. So yeah, good on them. A small word of warning, however, usually if you want to expand your forces, you're going to be wanting extra flagships to allow for extra units, and as things stand now, these Orbats do not have any flagship options, or the Orbats do not have any flagships options in what you get here. So it's great for swapping out units, and no doubt for following the campaign in this little booklet. But if you want to play the game in a more pickup way, you are lacking a few flagships here as it stands now. They then go on detailing what you can make with all of these different... I'm not going to focus on that one now because we know these. That's 3 different variants for the support cruisers, along with the Morgana submarines, and the Excaliburs were excluded on this one. And the Hochmeister boxes or plastics can of course be built as either the Hochmeister robots or the Metzger as per usual. The really new stuff is actually this one. This is that platform set that can be used across all different nations, as far as I can tell, and they also come with a couple of generic gun batteries. So I'm thinking this set is going to be quite interesting. If you've got your eye set on making a bit of a custom terrain, I think you can harvest this one for parts, because, well, There's multiple variants of this on the blog, and I always suggest that you go and check that one out. Multiple variants that can be built with these parts, so I'm thinking this is going to be great for people wanting to do some terrain kit bashing as well. And then we get a closer look at the new wreck marker, which can be used in some of the new missions. So you've got those objective tokens in there now. And then the other one are the mine markers, which are used quite commonly across all different orbats. So if you don't have a suitable token for that, or you want an extra fancy one, you can now get it. And it's not just beyond the Stergenium skies. They do want to keep their other two-player starter set current as well, and that was the start of the hunt for the Prometheus. And I actually think this is the more interesting one. It's the one I'll be picking up as well, mostly because I have quite a lot of the units in the Beyond the Stergenium skies set already. These boxes aren't necessarily designed for grizzled veterans such as me, but even I have quite a few forces of this one that I haven't picked up yet. These sprues for the Enlightened have not been available separate yet. They were in the Archimedes set, and I'm definitely getting some of that to flesh out that part of it. And I've also not picked up the Marina sets, the Marina battle fleet for my Russians, so I'm definitely looking forward to this one more. Just a small word of warning though for people who are looking at this one. I don't believe the Enlightened can actually use those platform sets. So those platforms are automatically going to be used by the Russian player, and that means that they're really getting a good deal out of this Beyond set. Which is not necessarily a bad thing, because if you looked at the Hunt for the Prometheus set, the Enlightened did have a bit of a leg up in terms of numbers of points that were available in that set. So I'm guessing this one balances it out a bit more, and it also comes with more dice and the rule book and everything. So you're definitely going to want to enjoy that one when it comes out as well. Now, also good news for people who play with the crown half of the Stergenium Skies box. The Canadians are getting reinforcements with the Protector Battle Fleet set. What we get in that one is a new resin flagship, the Protector, which is this submarine that actually has a carrier launch platform. It is in the artwork, it opens up these doors and then it sort of launches the SRS tokens from this one. But it being a resin kit, I'm not quite sure if it's going to be possible to open those doors in this case. Other than that, it fires a crap ton of torpedoes at the enemy, and so it is, it's a bit of a submarine unit that can just hang back and launch SRS tokens and pepper the opponent with torpedo attacks. And then you get two more of these Canadian frontline squadrons, meaning you can build some extra cruisers if you want. And if you're not quite familiar with these, you can build quite a few different options with them. There's just a small thing that you have to keep in mind. The Toronto has a bit of a mistake in the picture here, because it has a radar dish mounted to the front here. So that's a small little difference that you have to take into account when you're building it. I'm pretty sure the building instructions are going to be quite right as well, though. It's not just a Bonaventure with the rocket batteries slapped in. So yeah, if you want to expand your Canadians, you now can, and we've seen these in the previous, in the starter set as well. And then finally, a release that caught quite a few people by surprise, because there was quite a lot of discussion going on Discord on what exactly was new here, and Chris Pond from Warcradle Studios actually clarified it a bit. It's the Mexico Battle Fleet set. It is, in essence, the Constitution battleship hull, but now it comes with two of the support squadrons, and it actually has a new part in it, a new resin part in it, to create this generator mounted in the front. So it looks a bit plasticky on the blog, but it was confirmed that this is a resin piece that replaces one of the front gun batteries, and then you get two electro batteries at the side to create the USS Mexico. And like always, the support squadrons mean that they can be built in many different ways. You can build them as Washington missile units, if you want to, the Roanoke launch platforms, or the Discovery class options. Although I'm not entirely sure how many of these electro gun batteries you receive in that set. Hopefully it's enough, but Union players will know better, so make sure you comment down below for people looking into it if you actually get enough of these electro gun batteries to make both the USS Mexico and the Discovery class, because I'm not quite sure about that one. And of course you get one of the most fun releases that I think the Union has, which are these RC-52 Patriot automata. And yeah, you can really spam these as well in that Mexico build, because I think that's a Tesla Masterworks fleet, I'm not entirely sure. But if you do so, you can actually attach, you can take multiple units of these RC-52 Patriot automata and attach them to your own ships. So I think that can be quite a fun build to make. The only new part in that set again is that resin generator. Now, speaking of resin parts, this one does that a lot more than previously. It's the Retard battle fleet, and it comes with the portal ship and a couple of these Corcaroli destroyers in them. And as you can see, they are built on the plastic frontline squadron hulls that you can find in the Sultanate, but they come with some pretty extensive resin parts to create these new ships with them. And I also think, looking at this ship, that it is in need of a bit of an Orbat update, because the Orbat currently has the portal ship with only 2 of these Judgment Lances, and yeah, that's quite clearly 4 of them being mounted here, which would make it a very spectacularly good ship indeed. I do like this model. I always loved the artwork for it as well. It deviates slightly from it, but not by a lot. And yeah, it looks like you've got a full resin part that just slides in, where replaces that plastic hull that you can find, and then it comes with that Helios blast marker as well. I'm imagining the Helios blast thing going to have to be swapped out in the center, and then you plug in the holes that are left by the these side bits. I'm not quite sure what to call them, with more of this order iconography. I really do like this ship, and it's got a very fun profile with these side sponsons being swung more towards the back. But it does use the plastic attachments to hold on still. That means if you're going to be building these, you're going to have to do that using super glue, because that's the only way to bond those resin and plastics together. And then the Corcarolus destroyers is fun because you can only use 4 of them in a unit. There's no flexibility in this, but the kit comes with 4 straight away, so that's got you covered. And those Judgment Lances are some of the most potent weapons found in that roster, so this is definitely going to be a very strong addition to any Sultanate players out there. Speaking of, if you remember my old getting started with the Sultanate video, I was saying that playing around a lot with bombs and those supremacy cruisers wasn't going to be the most solid option until this portal generator ship came out, and now it's here, so it really does unlock quite a few different things. And I think it's going to be one of those almost mandatory ship options for a Sultanate player to have if he wants to unlock the whole gameplay of this faction. And then, like I said at the start, something that got me personally quite excited, and that is a first full-length novel for Wild West Exodus. It is written by a popular Black Library author, Sarah Cockwell. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Yeah, she does some great work for the big Games Workshop and 40k settings, and she is now taken on to making a book about the Wild West Exodus storyline, which is pretty much the same storyline as you find in Dystopian Wars. So I think that will be quite interesting to get some more information on, a bit more insight on what life in the dystopian age is like, on a more human level, on a more, 35mm scale one. So it's going to be quite fun to finally see some more of this coming out, because this sort of world building is needed in a game as well, so I'm quite happy to see them doing that. And of course, speaking of the Wild West, the final release for this month was the Warcradle Scenics Buckhorn Ranch set. I as always, they have got these gorgeous pre-painted MDF kits. All you have to do is assemble them. They can be quite intense to put together, that's definitely something, but the fact that you don't really have to paint them afterwards, or that everything is so neatly lined up so that they're easily painted before you even start on the construction of them. I'm talking about things like this metal beam and everything. It's quite easy to just pick it out with a bit of metallics and just have a great looking piece of terrain, because it is essentially pre-primed already. Painting MDF is always a bit of a nightmare because it just soaks up all of the paint, making it a bit tricky to get looking nice, and these sets just look great from box, out of the box I should say. And you know, looking at how much stuff you actually get in this, that really is enough to fill a table up straight away. And another thing, these aren't just static boxes that you're getting with these MDF kits. When you look at it, you can just take the roofs off rather easily, have fully detailed interior such as this fireplace, again all pre-painted, pre-primed, coming out straight away. Yeah, that's just a great gaming experience from the get-go, and it is incredibly player friendly because of this, because yeah, every story is out there. If you've got any game system really that uses a ranch as a setting, you're going to be quite well off with this kit. And it's not just the main building that has this, as you can see, the smaller buildings all have the fully playable interior as well, which yeah, makes it a very handy little time saver for those of you who want a battlefield ready in no time. And that was it. That was the releases from Warcradle Studios this week. This month, I should say. Traditionally, they don't do any major releases in December because of the holidays, and because, yeah, if you have to order at the start of the month, you're not going to be seeing them until the holiday season is upon you. So I don't expect to see anything from them next month. But this month more than makes up for it, because there's quite a lot of stuff. Now, if you liked the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up to date with all of the releases coming from Warcradle Studios, and I do hope to see you in the next video. Bye!